Today, we're going to completely transform how you conquer the absolute most frustrating, time-draining section of the UCAT, verbal reasoning. If you've been putting in the hours, doing the practice tests, but your scores just aren't moving, well, you are in exactly the right place. In this explainer, we're going to break down the actual science of this exam, dissect its traps, and build you a completely new tactical toolkit. Just listen to this real aspiring medical student on Reddit. They said, my aim is 700, but I'm literally on 390. And honestly, I want to validate this right now because this intense frustration, it's completely normal. Every single year, incredibly smart, dedicated medical and dental applicants hit an absolute brick wall on verbal reasoning. You might literally have flawless English comprehension skills, but right now, your traditional reading methods are actively working against you. And the brutal reality of why comes down to just one number, 28. You only have roughly 28 seconds per question in this subtest. That's it. The passages are dense, the language is highly technical, and the time pressure is immense. You simply do not have the luxury to read these texts the way you'd read a novel or a textbook. The UCAT is specifically designed to exploit the very reading habits you've spent your entire academic life perfecting. So here is our agenda for today's explainer. We've got 1. The verbal reasoning trap. 2. Stop reading, start diagnosing. 3. Spotting the deadly distractors. 4. Navigating true-false can't tell. And finally, 5. Master the keyword scan. Let's get right to work. Section 1. The verbal reasoning trap and why smart students lose marks. Let's diagnose the core issue right off the bat. You really need to internalize that the UCAT verbal reasoning section isn't testing your English. It just isn't. It is a logic and inference test dressed up as a reading test. You aren't losing marks because you don't understand the text. You're losing marks because you're reading it wrong. And honestly, it starts with a deeply ingrained habit, vocalizing. Most of us naturally read by silently sounding out words in our heads, right? And for reading a novel on the beach, vocalizing is great. But for a time-limited context like the UCAT, it's fatal. It artificially caps your reading speed. To succeed, you absolutely must train yourself to simply see the words and let their meaning pass directly into your mental process, without that sluggish extra step of hearing them in your mind. Section 2. Stop reading. Start diagnosing. The clinical paradigm shift. Medical school hopefuls, listen up. You need to stop acting like students in an English literature exam and start acting like clinicians. You've got to treat the passage as a patient's medical history and the answer options as potential diagnoses. There's a really stark contrast between what feels right versus what actually is right here. Natural reading is linear, it's comprehensive, it's focused on the flow of meaning. But UCAT reading, that's a targeted triage, it's a visual scan. You aren't reading to appreciate the author's beautiful prose. You're performing an aggressive diagnostic search to extract specific evidence. That additional precision, asking not just is this true, but is this true based strictly on this passage, is exactly where most marks are lost. Section 3. Spotting the deadly distractors. The anatomy of a trap. Okay, now we're going to dissect the 3 deliberate architectures the test makers use to build deceptive distractors. Because these aren't just random wrong answers. They are meticulously engineered to feel correct to a pressured reader. First up, we have the dispersion trap. This one is perhaps the most sophisticated. It uses real information from the passage, but misassembles it, kind of like a jigsaw puzzle put together wrong. For example, the text might state that a specific policy reduced waiting times in urban hospitals. Well, a dispersion trap will claim the policy reduced waiting times across all hospitals. Students fall for this all the time because they keyword scan, they spot the familiar terms policy and waiting times, and boom, they click select, completely failing to verify the relational structure. Next is the contradiction trap. This distractor preys on fast readers who breeze past crucial modifiers or qualifiers in the text. It might take a claim from the passage and just subtly distort or negate it. You have to flag every qualifier during your read, because an answer option that removes a nuanced caveat from the passage isn't a restatement, it's a direct contradiction. And the third trap is extreme language. The answer option might follow the exact correct general direction of the passage, but it pushes it to an unsupportable absolute degree. Unless the passage itself uses identical, uncompromising, absolute language, these extreme answers are almost always fatal errors. I'm talking about words like all, never, always, only, guaranteed, proves, entirely, and solely. When you look at an answer option, you should immediately scan for these absolute quantifiers. Think of them as the clinical symptoms of a wrong answer. Spotting these takes literally under 2 seconds per option and can instantly eliminate a massive chunk of deliberate distractors. Section 4. Navigating true-false can't tell. Advanced logical diagnostics. This right here is a crucial battleground. We're talking about true, false, can't tell questions, as well as the tricky inference and negative questions that just consistently bleed valuable points from smart candidates. Before you answer an inference question, you have to stop and ask yourself, is this an inference or is it an assumption? In everyday life, we blur those lines all the time, but on the UCAT, that distinction is absolutely everything. Let's define those boundaries clearly. A stated claim is an exact text match. Easy enough. An inference logically and highly probably follows from the text alone. But an assumption? That introduces new reasoning or outside knowledge. Let me be crystal clear about this. Bringing your outside medical or real-world knowledge into this exam is actively dangerous. Rely solely on the evidence provided in the passage. If an answer overreaches the text, eliminate it immediately. And then we have negative questions. Countless students lose marks simply because they miss the bolded words, except, not, or least when they're under time pressure. The tactical rule here is simple but honestly quite unintuitive. If a statement is entirely unsupported by the passage, meaning the passage is totally silent on it, that statement qualifies as not supported, which makes it the correct answer for an accept question. You really have to calibrate your brain to look for the absence of support. Section 5. Master the keyword scan, your tactical toolkit. So how do you actually physically extract this diagnostic evidence when you only have 28 seconds? Well, it starts with the skimming protocol. This is a 30-second structural map of the text. First, you read the opening sentence of the passage to get the core topic. Then you read only the first sentence of each subsequent paragraph because these carry the main argument. Finally, read the conclusion. Skip the middle completely on your first pass. Seriously, don't read it. You aren't reading for deep comprehension here. You're just figuring out where specific ideas live so you can return to them later. And this perfectly sets up the keyword scan. Once you've mapped the passage, you choose a highly specific, rare anchor word from the question stem. Then you jump vertically down the paragraph. Do not read left to right. You are doing a vertical visual search for the physical shape of that word. When you spot the symptom, stop. Read exactly one sentence before it, the sentence containing it, and the sentence after it. That targeted 3-sentence diagnostic window is usually all the evidence you need to answer accurately. It's a total game changer. We have covered a massive shift in methodology today. We've gone from slow linear reading to rapid vertical scanning, from just passively absorbing meaning to actively diagnosing traps like dispersion and extreme language. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. The next time that clock starts ticking down, are you going to fall back into the comforting but fatal habit of treating the UCAT like a high school English test? Or are you ready to change your paradigm, trust the strategy, and execute a ruthless clinical triage? The choice, and honestly, those top decile scores, are entirely in your hands. You've got this.